Today, we're going to learn about how to put discipline into Skyward. But before we even begin there, it is important that you and your team utilizes the parent-student handbook whenever you are going to enter discipline. You can find the parent student handbook on our intranet. I will link it to our digital resources so that you'll have it. You will find your brand and you will click on it. For my example today, I'm going to be utilizing the Quest and iSchool brand. And what we're going to do once I'm in their handbook, I'm going to go straight to Student Code of Conduct. And then I'm going to go to offenses and consequences. In this scenario, I am going to use a level 2 infraction because that is a discretionary suspension. And then I'm going to use number 38 for our example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by putting in offense as a teacher, and then I'll show you how to put action on it as an administrator. A teacher page, so I have teacher access, and I'm going to go to the main menu. I'm going to go to discipline, and I'm going to go to referral. I'm going to add a new referral. So again, going back to my handbook, I'm going to use a level 2 infraction number 38. So if you know what the name and the number of your referral is, it will make it a little bit quicker for you to put it in. So what I'm going to do in this first box is type L2 for level 2.38 because I know it's number 38. Now, teachers will only have one choice, and it'll be this first one without the state disciplinary reasons or code. And we'll come back to that when we go back to add an action. So the teacher can either put in a referral or a warning. In this case, I'm going to leave the default of referral. I am going to put a description in, and I'm going to change my date to Friday. This happened Friday at 11:48. The student has posted on Snapchat, I'm going to fight a student when I get to school today. So we know this has happened. Ms. Butler is the one referring it. And for incident location, it happened off campus and it was greater than 300 feet because they were at home. So now here, the teacher's going to put in the information, the type of involvement. So it was an offender, the student. Now I don't have a class, so I'm going to go to entity, and that will allow me to see all the students in the school. And I'm going to write up student Butler for my example. I am going to send it to the disciplinary officer. Now, again, this is just a scenario, so hopefully nobody's looking at their students' Snapchats. So at this point, I have added the information as the offender for student Butler. Now, if I wanted to go further, I can add a victim or a witness to this. But for our purposes here, we're just going to stick with a offender. So I'm going to now hit next since I now have all the information involved. And then the teacher will have a chance to review their information before they send it to administration. So we're going to go ahead and hit save. Okay, so I'm going to flip over to an administrative access, and I'm now going to go to the main menu. I'm going to go to discipline, and I'm going to go to incident or referral. So I have now put in my incident. The teacher has put in an incident. They have now sent it to me. Now I want to put action to it. Now, just a quick look here. I want you to take a look at this part of the screen. it says has no action, has open action, and has overdue action. So we're going to come back to this after we finish putting in our details. So first of all, we're going to select the referral that we want or warning, and we're going to hit the open button on the left-hand side. So this opens us up to the referral that the teacher has sent us. What we want to do, because this was a really big action and we want to make a suspension, we're going to change it to an incident. Anytime that you want to add an action, you have to change it to an incident. Now, when we were discussing earlier, the teacher had only one type that they were of offense that they could use, but administrators will see it twice. So when you see, if you're going to suspend or put a student in school suspension, you want to use the state disciplinary code so that it is going to be reported to PEEMS. So don't forget to change that to a 21 if you're going to have an in-school suspension or a out-of-school suspension. So I get to review everything that the teacher has now reported. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom and hit this little button here that says add action, because at this point I have reviewed it. I know what I'm going to do. I've investigated. So it's time for me to put in action. So I want to give the student an out of school suspension. So if I type in the box, I'll get out of school suspension. But there are a lot of other options that you can enter. So please take note that there are other options you can enter other than an out of school suspension. I'm going to leave the status as open because I haven't, the child hasn't served it yet. So I ordered it to happen on Friday because the incident happened on Friday. I'm going to give the student 3 days of detention. Suspension, and then it's going to start today. The disciplinary officer person who's authorizing it, the guardian was, you can go into a lot more detail about what happened with you and the parent. Then we're going to go back up to the top and hit next. It does give you a warning that you can go back and check all of your work before you start. So now I have now successfully suspended student Butler, and my offense now is a 21, as you see here. I have an open out of school suspension for 3 days, and then under attendance, it's going to automatically put suspension for the 14th, 15th, and 16th for that child. After I have reviewed it, everything looks great. I'm going to go to save. Now, it has changed the records and it is saved successfully. And now I have a good record. So now I can look down here on the screen and I see that it has action. The action is open. And after the student serves, I do need to do something to it. So with that being said, let's go back to discipline and we can look at how things are going. So there is an action detail. Under action detail maintenance, you can see where a student has either served or not served a action. So you could filter out the ones that you want to see. So for this one, I want to see the detail of the open statuses. So this is any child that has an open status at this time. Now, I can update all of these students at one time by going to update multiple action detail status. So I'm going to go back to my first day of school. And I'm going to click Friday. And for actions, I'm going to select all of them. And then I want my old status to be open, my new status to be served. Then I'm going to hit next. Once you hit next, you'll see all of the students that you're going to change from open to served. And then you would hit run process. Because I'm now in production, I'm not going to do that, but you could, and you will get a pop-up that says they have been changed. I also want to show you under discipline, detention, and in-school suspension tracker. You can also track your students when they have served a detention or not. So I want to see all of mine. And here, when they serve a day, you just go in and check it. And once you check all of them, then you hit save changes. Again, I'm in live, so I am not going to do that, but you can. So you can keep up with your discipline and if they're open or closed or served very quickly.